and we are going to focus on our internal and regional issues. To be accurate, before we start, let me first welcome our dear guest live here in the studio, Dr. Hala, our political analyst. And ma'am, first, a very good day to you, but we do have a lot of headlines, so let's start immediately. And our first headlines are coming from الأهم. From الأهم, we read: combating terrorism and the crises in the region top the agenda of the Egyptian-Russian summit. Kremlin says a cooperation agreement between الأهم and Sputnik. Upon an invitation from President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, Russian President Vladimir Putin starts on Monday a two-day official visit to Egypt, and I think each Egyptian is welcoming Vladimir Putin in his very first visit to Egypt for long. I think, or maybe this is the first one, or at least this is the first one since President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi took office.
In fact, this is the president, this is a clever president who supported the will of the Egyptian people from day one of June 30 revolution. Russia did never describe this revolution as a coup d'etat, as Americans are still saying until yesterday. New York Times was writing, since the military took over the region, they are cooperating with terrorists and they are accusing the regime in Egypt, but this is different president and different country. I hope our cooperation will be bigger and bigger every day.
The military took the will of the people and they implemented on the ground. The military did not and will never act by itself. It was our order, do this, and they said, I will.
Yes,
that's it.
In fact, if this is a coup d'etat, it's a coup d'etat of the Egyptian people.
Yes.
They toppled the president, they didn't like, they fell back. He is taking Egypt back more than 1,000 years.
They toppled fascism, to be accurate.
Yes.
But let's here focus a little bit on the Egyptian-Russian relations. And regarding those relations as a new phase or a new era. How do you see this visit and the timing of this visit just less than a month before the upcoming economic summit, which is going to take place, inshallah, in Sharm el-Sheikh by mid-March?
In fact, cooperation between Egypt and Russia is not new. The Soviet Union helped Egypt build the high dam when the West resisted the development of Egypt. They helped us in many industrial complexes. They helped Egypt a lot, in fact. And they are resuming their cooperation with Egypt. There are many fields they can cooperate, especially power, oil, petrochemicals. Russia can lend a great help in this field that Egypt needs a lot. And also nuclear power, because maybe we will have to use this power soon. Not very late.
Still with الأهم, where we are going to read also from the front page, Egypt presents its vision in combating extremism before the Munich conference. On the second day of the Munich conference for security policies, Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry presents Egypt's vision regarding international cooperation in combating terrorism. The top diplomat is to present some notice tackling the Western unexplained policies regarding the issue of combating terrorism, or to be accurate, the double standards the Western powers are dealing with regarding terrorism. When it's happening in America, it's different than when it's happening in Afghanistan by the Taliban. It's different than what's going on here in Egypt and what happened in France, for instance, with the Charlie Hebdo attacks. Ma'am, how do you see the participation of our top diplomat, Sameh Shoukry, especially in this Munich conference, to expose or to present the vision of Egypt regarding its war against terrorism and extremism, of course?
In fact, Egypt is facing the most dangerous terrorist organization. It's more dangerous than Daesh. In fact, Daesh split from Muslim Brotherhood, but Muslim Brotherhood is more violent, more subtle. It has been deceiving Egyptians for a long time, and it's now, I can say it's a deceiving Western world because there is some kind of subtle cooperation between both parties. They issue statements condemning violence, but they receive Muslim brotherhoods. America just received them, and it issued a statement condemning violence in Egypt, condemning the killing more than 30 officers and soldiers lately. But they really don't fight terrorism. As President Sisi said, you cannot concentrate on only one small organization and forget about every other terrorism. Muslim Brotherhood is terrorism, Boko Haram is terrorism, what's happening in Yemen, toppling the regime against the will of the people is terrorism, but we didn't see that very strong reaction from the West.
And they dissolved the parliament yesterday.
Yes,
and they said it.
And the constitutional declaration
about those Houthis, for instance, and they said that if you do not have a compromise or a solution, we are going to end it ourselves, or we are going to find our own solutions. Why this was not considered as a coup?
And everyone knows who is behind them. It's Iran, and the United States and the West are neglecting the threat to all Gulf countries. Just yesterday, Kerry was meeting them, and what did he do? What did the United States do for the Gulf? Are they cooperating with Iran so that the Gulf countries will be scared all the time and will do everything the West needs?
Especially Saudi Arabia, of course. We are still from the front page of Al-Ahram, where we continue to read also some news by our top diplomat. Egypt and Norway call for fulfilling the commitments of the Gaza reconstruction process. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ambassador Badruddin Abdelati says that Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry held talks with his Norwegian counterpart Bård Brinty in Oslo. The two top diplomats discussed fighting terrorism and the international efforts exerted in this domain, in addition, of course, to the Gaza reconstruction process and how to fund this process for the sake of the Palestinians. Now, of course, those topics are very important, but I'm here trying to focus more on the way our diplomacy, our diplomatic activities are taking place. With Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry all the time from here and there, with the sending representatives, with holding talks with his men here in Egypt in the premises of the Foreign Ministry, with meetings with our ambassadors outside Egypt, with giving instructions to our ambassadors to meet with the media in the countries they are representing Egypt there. How do you see the diplomatic activities in general?
In fact, our diplomacy has been in action since toppling Muslim Brotherhood that has been resisted by the West as a military coup d'etat or military takeover. Egypt all the time has been explaining this is the will of the people. The army cannot do anything but respond to the will of the people, and they have been acting all the time, but the West and the United States were not cooperating with Egypt. They took quite some time to understand that it's not going to change. This is the will of the people, and this situation will be going on. They cannot change this.
This is the real image of what's going on in Egypt. But here, let me put my question in other words. Speaking with Norway, for instance, in this very special situation, don't you think that whenever Norway want to talk about the reconstruction of Gaza, they go to Egypt, then admitting and announcing that they do confess the fact that Egypt is the key regional partner in doing this.
Yes, they cannot ignore
terrorism. They could before. In fighting terrorism, they also know that whenever Egypt would succeed in fighting terrorism, then Egyptians are going to protect not only themselves but the region or maybe the world.
In fact, they can ignore Egypt in their statements, but they can in reality ignore Egypt. Egypt is very important in the region. It has a pivotal role in this region, and this diplomatic action means the comeback of Egypt. There has been a lack of action for quite some time from Egypt. Now we are coming back to our role in the Arabic world and on the international arena. And although regime in Gaza is fighting Egypt and is exporting terrorism to Egypt,
Hamas is not the Palestinians now.
I say the regime. Yeah, I say the regime.
And they are not the regime also. They are not anymore.
Egypt is helping the Palestinian people, and it never stopped helping the Palestinian people. This is our destiny.
The big sis.
Yes.
Yeah. We are still with الأهم, and this time it's about the lineup of the new governors. 17 new in the list, which was presented to President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi 2 days ago, and today they are going to take oath. 17 new governors take oath before the president today. Traffic, housing, and water files waiting for the new governors, in addition to other things, of course. 17 new governors that have been ratified by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi are to be sworn in on Saturday before the president, and for his part, Engineer Ibrahim Mahlab, our Prime Minister, confirmed that the governors reshuffle aims at change for the citizen interest, and it's not anymore a position of honor, as they say. They should be all the time on the ground with people, tackling their problems, discussing with them their demands, their needs, or they are not going to continue for a month even in the position. A new way to choose the governors and a new reshuffle, I would say, but it had taken such a long time. Why, in your opinion, if you do have an explanation?
In fact, there are many competent and powerful people in Egypt, but they were out of the frame. During 30 years of Mubarak rule, it was not about efficiency. It was about who they like, who is going to go by this regime, who is going to please this regime, not who is going to please the people. This was happening with choosing ministers or governors. So ministers or governors never cared for the people. And also, when Muslim Brotherhood ruled,
something general
for quite some time, unfortunately. And when Muslim Brotherhood came, their target was to be more powerful, to spread their people everywhere. They never cared for the people too. People were neglected all the time. President Sisi now is changing the course. He is bringing a government and asking for governors who are coming to help the people. People are their first target and their first interest, not anything else. This is not a showy position.
To echo what you have just said, ma'am, اليوم السابع is saying something else, and the president meets with the governor's council after the new governors take oath. Prime Minister Engineer Ibrahim Mahlab says all the governors should have the ability to deal with the kinds of problems on the ground, and he added that the ages of the new governors swing between 30 and 50, but he declines to give any names. Between 30 and 50, I think it would be the very first time to have a 35-year-old, for instance, governor. And this is going to be, I would say, a new experience for us.
Yes. This means that the participation of the young generation. The youth has been crying all the time. We must be taking part in everything.
Now let's cross our fingers and know what they are going to do.
We are expecting what they are going to do. Yes.
At least if they are going to be all the time not behind officers and not just waiting in rooms, they are going to be on the ground with people. We hope so, at least.
In fact, I lived in China for some time, and they have some kind of school that trains officials. They don't suddenly come from a university or from any institution. They are trained for